Hi everyone, it's Christy here, and I'm here today to share with you one of my favorite layouts from the year, which is documenting my books that I have read. So in 2019, I read 60 books, which I think is a record for me. And I'm just showing you really quickly how I print them. So I had saved all these photos directly from Goodreads, and then I put them onto Dropbox into a folder. Then I go into Project Life app and I use a canvas that has four 2 by 3 rectangles, which is the perfect size for a book cover. And then I am just loading each book into one of the empty spaces. And so you just saw me quickly doing one there, and I was just showing you my library of completed canvases. So now I'm on to the printing of the photos. And so I just am printing directly to my Canon Selfie, and you just export the photo from the Project Life app by clicking the export button and then clicking print, and then it will print it for you. Now, if you have other printers, this will work the same way. You can print directly from the Project Life app. So I really like the app because it has different sizes of canvases, and this one, like I said, is perfect. So I'm getting four 2 by 3s on each 4 by 6 photo or page. And in the past, I've done photos that were the um, 3 by 4 size, and so because I read so many books this year, I thought I would go a little bit smaller. Now, if you stuck through that, here are the products that I plan on using. I'm using a bunch of different pattern papers as well as some Ellie Studio cards and embellishments, as well as some old Ali Edward Read Kit supplies, so the tiny word stickers and the speech bubbles. Now, choosing the papers for these 5 layouts was really difficult. And so what I did was I treated every 2 pages as a layout, and I doubled up on the pattern paper. So for example, this is the left hand side of the layout, and on the top I have that pattern paper there with the blue and the white stripes, and so I repeat that pattern paper on the right hand side of the layout. Same with that green hexagon pattern paper on the left here, I repeat it on the right, and that heart paper, the yellow paper, the daisy paper, all of those are repeated on the right hand side as well. And so that just kept it easy and cohesive throughout the layouts. So it was really hard to pick pattern paper, but I managed to do it. Most of the papers are from the Dear Lizzie She's Magic collection, and then I just bring in a couple patterns from my stash, some from Crate Paper, and some from Pink Fresh Studios. So here I'm just laying out. I had already grouped my photos because there's 60 photos. I didn't want one photo in each pocket, so sometimes I'm doubling up. And so I just kind of, before filming, set all the photos out. And if I read multiple books by the same author, I put them in the same pocket. If I read books kind of with a similar theme or message, I put them in the same pocket. And then, like, I put all my book club books in one pocket. And then, if they were kind of similar, like thrillers or that sort of thing, I also grouped them by that. And I also, a little bit later on, I have another pocket with like just all the crap books that I read, the ones that were really disappointing. I put those all in one pocket as well. So I'm using the ephemera pack from the She's Magic collection, as well as the stickers, both the 6 by 12 sticker sheet that you see here, and the puffy stickers as well. And then these little flags are from Ellie Studio. I have a little kit that I kind of put together a long time ago that had all my book or reading themed supplies with the intention that I would create kind of like a mini album, but it did come in really handy because have never got around to doing that. It did come in really handy when creating these pages. So I liked those flags and I try to bring those throughout the 5 layouts. That was another goal of mine, was to keep it cohesive, so using the same colors, using the same products and supplies throughout the 5 pages, because that's a lot of pages and this took me way longer than I had thought. I had some troubles printing, and just the choosing of the paper really took a long time. So thankfully I have saved you all of that. So at the top there you see these 2 speech bubbles. Those come from Ali Edwards, and it worked out that the colors really paired well with the colors from the She's Magic collection, which pretty much inspired the colors for these layouts. And so I'm just going through and adhering. I do outline the borders of every single card. I don't usually do every single card, but I thought that I would in this layout just to kind of see if I liked it. And then I tried to pair the book covers that are by themselves with pattern paper that would match. So I was pretty proud of myself because one of the books that I did read that I really enjoyed was Daisy Jones and the Six, and I put that on a pattern paper with daisies. So little things like that make me really happy. And so I added a label there also from Ali Edwards just to bring in some of the gray. I have a really hard time using gray in my layouts. I find there's lots of different shades of gray, and yeah, it's just really tricky for me. But because there's some gray in that book stack card from also from Ellie Studio, I wanted to bring in some gray, so I had these labels from Ali Edwards that I've had forever as well, and I just wanted to bring those in throughout the pages as well. So there's not a ton of journaling throughout. It's just documenting some of all of the books, but the journaling that I do include helps to add some thoughts for the books that I really enjoyed. So I do that I add the labels on a few of the cards. So now I'm just going and adding kind of my title, using those 2 speech bubbles just to add a pop of color. And then I wanted to bring in these pink thickers, but of course they don't have numbers. So I just went into my stash and grabbed a white thicker to add the numbers. So it will read 60 books read in 2019. As you can see, it looks terrible, and so I just, off camera, I just worked on the spacing a little bit there. This is the first layout complete, and I'm really happy with how it turns out. Now that I have that figured out and kind of the aesthetic that I'm going for, I know that the next few layouts will come together really quickly. So if you've made it this far, thank you for continuing. The She's Magic collection had a few bookish themed stickers, so I had this card that says Grateful For, and I believe that's from a really old Gossamer Blue kit. And so it just says Grateful for a book a day keeps reality away. I think that's what it said, so I just thought that was pretty cute there. And then off camera I did outline all the borders, so I saved you that time so you didn't have to watch me do that. And I'm just using a Sharpie pen to do that. They're my favorite pens. You can just get them on Amazon, and I use them for journaling and doodling and all that kind of stuff. So those are my favorite. So I added those, and I'm just using a white card that said like celebrate this or something, and I covered that up with the books. And right there, the card that I'm working on is all the books that I read in book club. There's probably more, but I feel like this year in book club, if I wasn't feeling the book, I didn't read the book. Like, life's too short. So these are the 5 books that I did read for book club this year, which, I mean, doesn't sound that great, but I feel like we've only read like 8 books this year, just as we take off summer, July and August we take off, and then there was a few that were just not my taste at all. So the sticker sheet came with a long blue floral piece that I used on the opposite side of the layout and wanted to incorporate on this card as well. So I put on 3 photos on the front and then 2 on the back, and I added a tab using my tab punch just with a coordinating color, and just wrote book club just so that looking back I would know what those books were for. And then I read 2 books by Riley Sager, which I really enjoyed. Those books have come heavily recommended from other people, and I really did enjoy both of those books and look forward to reading more by them. And I don't know if it's a girl author or a male author. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed those. And I just added another label and a couple bird ephemera pieces there. And then on this one, I'm bringing in a sticker of a rainbow and then a puffy sticker. I just like the different textures and dimensions. So I do have these stickers that are kind of like an acrylic. I don't know if that's what you call it. And then I want to bring in the puffy sticker as well. The ephemera pack was great because it had lots of these tags and guest checks and that sort of thing, which I thought would be great for including a little bit of journaling. At the conclusion of 2018, I read The Bear and the Nightingale, which was the first book in this trilogy, and so I included the next 2 books, Girl in the Tower and The Winter Witch, which were fantastic, and I highly recommend that series as well. And I had brought in some of these tiny word stickers on the opposite page, so I really wanted to include them on this page as well. And I do really like to have things in all 3 rows of the page protector, so I was just noticing that I didn't have anything in the bottom row, so I wanted to add that. Alright, on to layout number 3 of 5. Again, just starting with the doodles here, and I will save you that, I believe. I'm bringing in some more of the She's Magic collection with a few new patterns, so that postcard and envelope pattern paper in the top right. And then a few other patterns just from my stash, just really including all the colors. And some of the colors were influenced by the colors in the book covers themselves, so especially the yellow. And when I was really struggling to pick a pattern paper, I opted just to use white cardstock. So you'll see me just adding some white cardstock, especially like to this card right now, which includes all the crappy books that I read this year. These were books that were just so disappointing. So I'm not sure. I think Monsoon Mansion and Bitter Orange came recommended to me, and I just did not enjoy them at all. And then the 7.5, I don't even remember, 7.5 husbands, or I don't know, I'm getting confused with another one, was terrible. I listened to that on audiobook. That was the only book this year that I listened to audiobook on our trip to and from Seattle, and it was, I don't know, it was disappointing as well. And then The Idea of You, which was kind of different. It was kind of trashy, but yeah, it wasn't great either. But what can you do? You don't know until you try, and that's what reading is about. I enjoy spending my time reading, and they're not all going to be great. That being said, this book, An American Marriage, was one of my favorites, and I read it early on in the year, and it's still sticking with me. I remember enjoying it really a lot, so added a sticker to that one, as well as a tiny word sticker. And this one, my absolute darling, was a little bit disturbing, but also came recommended to me, and I really did enjoy it. It was also probably in my top 10 for the year. So I'm just adding little bits and pieces here. This is a card. It says currently reading, and that's also from Ellie Studio. Using a piece of white cardstock just to add a simple ephemera piece here and one of the acrylic stickers. And I did enjoy all the books in that actual row there. I enjoyed all those ones. So I've really been on a thriller kick. So a lot of these books, if you asked me what they were about, I couldn't even tell you. They all kind of roll into one. So I just threw these three books onto one card because I honestly couldn't even tell you. The Last Woman in the Forest does stick out a little bit to me because it does take place in my province for part of the book. So that one is kind of ringing a little bit of bell, but I don't honestly remember what these things are about. All right, on to layout 4. So again, using card from Ellie Studio there with the books all in a row, and just repeating the pattern papers that you saw on the left hand side. Um, and I really loved this striped card, which I think is from a super, super old Hip Kit Club um, kit. So I am bringing that in with a label and a puffy sticker. And this one, I'm just including a sticker that said beautiful, or I don't know, collect beautiful moments, I think it says. So again, just grouping books by author. If I read a book and I enjoyed it, I usually just try to find another book by that same author, and it's usually pretty disappointing, to be honest. The only author this year that I did really, really enjoy reading, actually, there's a few, was Frederick Bachman, who's one of my favorite authors, and I just really liked his sequel to Beartown, which I read, I believe, last year. So his sequel was called Us Against You, I think. And then the Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center. I really, really loved that book. And then I read her other book, which is called Walk Away. I don't know, something Walk. So I really enjoyed both of those books. Not thrillers, more romantic, more like Me Before You, Bridget Jones's Diary kind of esque. So I really liked those. And yeah, out of the books on this layout, the book that maybe stands out to me the most would be, honestly, I couldn't even tell you. Maybe Girls Like Us would be a good one. But yeah, keeping it a little bit more simple, just kind of at this point, it had taken me a long time. So this is the last layout. Usually for my ending page for my albums, I use family photos. And this year I decided just to end it with the books. So I wanted to end it, and I used that card, The End, which came from Studio Calico ages ago. And I just thought that was a really good, fun way to end the album and end the bookish pages. So I put that there and just added an acrylic piece. Bring it in another ephemera piece there. That's like a library card. So I thought that would be fun too. And then more label stickers and more speech bubbles. A Dog's Way Home. I honestly don't even remember reading this book, but I think I read it with the intention of watching the movie, which I have not yet done. And so the ephemera pack came with these little tickets, and one of them said movie or cinema, so I wanted to pair that with that. And then Nora and I read Charlotte's Web, so because I read it, I want to include it in my books read. And we haven't continued our chapter book reading. I feel like we start and never finish, so we need to be better about that in the new year. But yeah, I want to include that. And then I Love Books. That's another card from Ellie Studio. But out of the books on this page, I really, really loved The Broken Girls. That was one of my top 10 reads for the year as well. And I'm just adding some puffy stickers throughout just to add a little bit more color. I love that pattern paper in the top right, which is also, I believe, from an old Hip Kit Club kit. So if you made it this far, thank you so much. I really do enjoy doing these pages. It's really fun for me to look back and see the books that I've read. I don't always have the best memory, but I hope you enjoyed watching, just giving you a little bit of a closer look at the pages. But if you have any questions for me, please do let me know. I love hearing from you, and I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks so much. See you soon. Bye.